Welcome back to That's Right, I Said It. I appreciate you joining me once again. Oh, buddy. This is going to be another day of rants. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Um, you know, I'd be lying, to be honest, if I said that it didn't bother me when someone leaves a disrespectful comment. But, a lot of it is not solely because it makes me feel some sort of way. I've been experiencing a little bit of growth on this channel recently. I've got over 100 subscribers at this point. I know it's not 100,000 subscribers. It's not 1,000,000 subscribers. I get that. I'm not getting paid from YouTube right now. But those 108 people who took the time to subscribe to my channel, I take that seriously. And when someone comes on and leaves a very disrespectful comment, I take that personally. But then I also take it personally on behalf of those 108 people who are listening to my channel, because we all share a lot of similar background and issues as it relates to drug use and drug addiction. So I've already deleted the comment. I not only deleted it, but I blocked the user from being able to comment on any of my future posts as well. I'm typically not all about censorship, but this is a community where I want people to feel encouraged. And everyone's opinion is welcome, but the way that you go about expressing that opinion is going to be absolutely up to my discretion if that is what I would consider respectful to the community guidelines. Why do I do the quotes? The reason I do the quotes is because when you go on YouTube and you click into the comments section of a YouTube video, the very first thing it says at the top is remember to follow community guidelines and be respectful. Yada, 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 yada. And I understand that the nature of respect in regards to comments is subjective. I get that. Some people might see something as disrespectful while others might be like, I don't see anything wrong with it, dude. But for me, let me just tell you what the comment said. So I did a video a while back called Kratom's Tipping Point Explained. And basically what that talks about is if you're a light Kratom user and you don't really use it all that often on a regular basis sort of thing, in other words, you're not addicted to Kratom or physically dependent upon Kratom, then you're probably not going to have any withdrawals. However, there is a tipping point. The tipping point is different for different people. It varies from person to person to person to person based on age, frequency of use, whether your use is moderate or over the top, your height, weight, activity level, your diet, your metabolism. I mean, the list just goes on, right? What that tipping point is for each individual person. Man, it's hot today. So while I understand that tipping point is different, there is a tipping point for everyone that uses Kratom, whether it's lightly or heavily, that you will get to a point eventually, if you take enough, you will begin to have some physical withdrawals when you try to abruptly stop taking the Kratom, right? So I did a video about that, and I get up this morning, my morning's going pretty good. And you know how you wake up in the morning, your alarm goes off, whatever, I'm almost ready, and then you look at your phone for the first time in the morning, right? So I see the little notification bell, the little YouTube notification bell. I'm like, cool, maybe a new subscriber, new comment, or maybe somebody that I'm subscribed to did some sort of video or something like that. Cool, I got some action going on YouTube. And normally I really look forward to to reading those comments because, you know, all of the people that comment are very smart, intelligent, compassionate human beings, despite having, you know, some, you know, either past or current issue with drug use. That doesn't define who you are. That's something that you've done, and something that a lot of people would even consider an illness or a disease. And that's usually the kind of comments I get. Well, I wake up and I look and I see this comment that simply says, easy solution, comma, stop being a selfish drug addict. Being a drug addict is a choice, in capital letters, exclamation point. All right. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Being an asshole is also a choice. And I would argue, and I think most others would argue, that you actually have more of a choice to show people some respect and to not be an asshole than you do in being a drug addict. Now, here's the thing about this, okay? Because there's so many layers to this. And even though I'm a person who has struggled with drug addiction in my past, I'm also one of those people who I can look at a comment like that and I can say, you know what? All right, you know, believe it or not, I can take something from that. I can take something from that comment. Because, let's get real, he's not completely wrong, right? You know, doing drugs and a drug addiction, I don't think anyone, even a drug addict or someone who struggles with this, would argue that this is not a selfish pursuit, you know? And obviously for family members, for others that get caught in the crossfire of someone who struggles with drug addiction, I'm pretty sure that a lot of them would argue that it is a selfish pursuit on behalf of the drug addict. But there's so many layers to this, and there's so much that can be unpacked regarding this particular statement, that you can't really look at a comment like that and say, you know what, you're right, 100% true. And I'm going to tell you why. Selfish in the sense that maybe it's overtaking your life, and there are others or other things in your life that are receiving less from you because you're too busy giving that portion of yourself to your drug use, right? Seems pretty selfish, you know, and I agree with that, and I get that. And, you know, and then the second part of the comment, being a drug addict is a choice. Maybe I'm just splitting hairs here, but it's not that simple, bro. It's not that simple. And I use my wife as a as a centerpiece for this argument constantly. My wife likes Kratom, right? My wife enjoys Kratom. Does my wife have a problem with addiction or an addiction to Kratom? No, absolutely not. Now, where the lines get blurred and where the area surrounding this becomes gray and not so clear is that because she made a conscious choice to not become addicted to the Kratom? Or is her physiology, anatomy, and biology just somewhat different than mine, to where she just didn't get hooked on it the same way, right? And that's where, recreational drug use versus a person who becomes addicted to substances, that's where recreational drug users and drug addicts go around in circles all the time about this argument. Because most professionals will argue that it's your choice to continue using drugs over the long haul and not to try to get help and change it. That's a choice. But becoming a drug addict, as it relates to choice, is really no different than a recreational user who has tried the drug but did not become addicted to said drug. You understand what I mean? I would say 99% of people at some point, whether it's when they're a child or a teenager or a grown-up, 99% of people at some point try some sort of drug, whether it's alcohol, whether it's weed, whether it's cigarettes, whether it's an opiate medication, or whether they get a tooth pulled and they get a bottle of Vicodin given to them. Now, the brain chemistry between a recreational user and a drug addict, in my opinion, and in a lot of professionals' opinions, are different in that the recreational user is going to get that bottle of Vicodin. They're going to take it a couple of times and they're going to be like, oh, I don't like the way this makes me feel. This kind of makes me feel blah, or makes me feel tired, or it makes me feel loopy. And I don't, my brain chemistry doesn't really identify this as a pleasant feeling, right? So unless my pain is just really, really bad and really, really acute and I just can't freaking take it anymore, I'm not going to take any more of that. And I'm just going to let it sit up in my cabinet until until some drug addict comes over to my house later on and steals it from me, right? So that's what I'm going to do. But then you have the person whose brain chemistry is different and has the potential for becoming addicted to take that same Vicodin, perhaps even the same amount of Vicodin that the recreational person took, and their response to it is completely different. 1,000% completely different. They take the Vicodin. It's the best thing they've ever felt. There are no immediate side effects. All they can think of is just, damn, I feel amazing. I love this. I love everything about this. In fact, I would love to feel like this. How often? You got it. 24 hours a day if possible, baby. Give me some more. Give me some more of that. And there are two different types of people in regards to that. Now, is that a choice? If that person takes the Vicodin and it gives them that sort of feeling versus the other person who took the same Vicodin, the same amount, and it gave them a completely different feeling. Can we both agree that when the recreational user and the drug addict take that first Vicodin, is it safe to say at that point, neither one of them are drug addicts, right? They've only taken one Vicodin. You can't be a drug addict if you've only taken one Vicodin, right? Drug addiction in and of itself is a repetitive cycle of consuming a substance over and over and over and over and over until you're either dependent or addicted to that substance, right? So when they both first start, can't call them a drug addict. So what is the difference? Is there a difference? And we can go around and around and around and around and around on this. And, I don't want to be one of those people that just because it offended me, I don't want to be one of those people that I'm only offended because I'm a representation of that comment. You know what I mean? Because I am the one being selfish. So some guy jumps on and tells me I'm being a selfish drug addict, and that's a choice that I'm being a selfish drug addict. I don't want to be that guy who, well, the reason I'm butthurt is because he's right, you know. So I want to be careful about how I talk about this or approach this, because, again, there's some level of truth, and the results, especially as how they relate to those around you and your loved ones, and those who come or are either family members of, or friends of, or acquaintances of, or co-employees of people who are addicted to drugs. Those that surrounding system and or support system around that drug addict definitely feels a sense of slightedness, like this person's being selfish because this is more important than me. This drug use is more important than me. So I get it, and I get the whole feeling of stop being a selfish drug addict. But I can't help but express that 90% of people in this world are addicted to something. All right? And there are levels to this shit. Okay? And I'm a person that, I take some kratom every day. How much different is that if I'm an anxious person or a person that struggles with anxiety or depression? How much different is it than me going to the doctor and then them giving me a prescription of Wellbutrin that I take every day to help with depression? Wellbutrin has side effects. Every pharmaceutical that a doctor can prescribe has side effects, right? And the selfish part, we're all selfish about something. People are addicted to social media, and I see it all the time. Moms sitting in their cars. I see it at my work. There's people whose wives or girlfriends, they only have one car, and their boyfriend or their husband works there on the production floor at the company I work for. And I walk outside and I see, two babies sitting in the back in car seats. And what's the mom doing? Sitting there smoking a cigarette, scrolling through her phone, with her knees up like this. Saw it today, as a matter of fact. Scrolling through social media, not looking up, not looking at the people walking by, not looking back at her kids, not paying no attention in the world except to that cigarette and that phone. All right. I work with people that I see them drink 5 cups of coffee, if not more, every day. Every time I can come into this person's office anytime throughout the day, they're drinking coffee. And this same person also suffers from a condition called diverticulitis, which can be caused as a result of poor diet, too much acidity, these sort of things that can thin out, that can thin out your intestines and stuff. And these can actually cause food and things like that to get in these little worn places in your intestines, and that's what they call the condition diverticulitis. And I work with a bunch of people, and these are church-going people, all of them, and a lot of them don't really have any issue with these things that they do. But I know about 10 people that I can think of right off the bat that claim to be Christians. Every time I see them, they're like this. Yeah, man, what's going on? Chewing snuff. Don't you know that shit can make your jaw fall off, man? But here's the thing. here's the thing. I don't judge them, you know, and that's between them and God. You know, I don't chew snuff. I don't smoke cigarettes. And when I do take kratom, I don't take kratom and then go off somewhere by myself and just sit there and stare at the wall. I take kratom and I spend time with my family, spend time with my children. Or I'll take kratom and I'll go exercise and I'll go jog 4 or 5 miles. I'll take kratom and I'll go mow the lawn. I'll take kratom and I'll go clean up around my house. I'll take kratom and I'll take my wife out to dinner. I'll take kratom and then I'll go over to my parents' house and help them do something positive. I'll take kratom and I'll get my job done at work and I'll be a great employee. I'll take kratom and I'll say positive, encouraging things to people all day, every day. And my kratom use allows me to be locked in that way. So this person's comment, you know, easy solution. Stop being a selfish drug addict. Being a drug addict is a choice. Yeah. You know, maybe. But what is your drug addiction causing you to do? You know? Have you lost your home? Have you lost everything that you own as a result of your drug addiction? Are you a person that is literally homeless and starving and standing on the street, you know, scratching, just got to have more of something? Is that you? Then, yeah, that's selfish. And it's hurting you and it's hurting everyone else around you. Am I saying that my drug use or my kratom use is not a measure of selfishness? No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. And just like any other human on the face of the planet, I have some egocentric tendencies. For those of you who don't know what that means, egocentric means me first speech, you know, and I have some of that. But I'm one of those people that exhibit a measure of control over my kratom use. And my kratom use does the opposite of what you would think drug use does for some people. In other words, it helps me. I work harder. You know, I stay on point with my kratom use. And the last thing I'm going to say about this, how did this guy end up on my video? When I see a comment like that, one of the first things I think is, I have 108 subscribers. That's not that much, right? 108 subscribers out of an ocean of millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions. I could keep going on saying millions for another hour and still would not reach the number of users that use YouTube and or have content on YouTube. Out of all the videos that this person could have run across on YouTube, how did you end up on my little bitty kratom video that only has a little over 100 views on that particular video? My little channel where I've only just got barely over 100 subscribers, but yet your search history has led you down the pathway, down the feed that has caused you to happen upon my video, okay? And it's one of those things where that's the first thing I think about when and that's one of the things that makes it difficult about doing videos like this and doing one of these channels. That's why I have to get on here and rant about it, because I'm a sensitive guy, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, when I first saw that, I was like, damn, well, that was hurtful. You know, I mean, obviously I'm not perfect, but I by no stretch think of myself as a selfish person. You know, I work every day, and I work hard. I work hard for my family and for my children, and I keep a good home. I keep a clean, tidy home. And, you know, I'm always doing something productive to either better myself or better the lives of those around me that I love. And that's what I do. So, am I perfect? Of course not. Of course not. But if I didn't see Kratom as an improvement, you know, to my psyche and my ability to be able to live and cope with life in a positive way, then I would have stayed off of it altogether, and I wouldn't be on it and dabbling in it at all. Okay? So, as a final response to this person, yeah, drug addiction, it is a selfish pursuit, but so is social media. So is smoking cigarettes. So is sitting and watching TV all the time. And if you're watching enough YouTube where you are a person who doesn't struggle with drugs and you somehow happened across my Kratom video, actually, let me back that up. He probably struggles with drugs or has struggled with drugs his own self. Otherwise, why would he end up on a video that is titled Kratom's Tipping Point Explained? How did you end up on my video, dude? It's a fair question. Are you a user? If you're not a user, why were you searching for something that would have brought up Kratom in the title of the video? Were you curious about it and using Kratom? Are you a current user, a past user? What's your deal? And either answer that you give makes it fucked up that you would get on and say something like that to a group of people who are subscribing to a channel to learn how to better themselves and learn how to cope with and develop a supportive community with like-minded people who share some of the same struggles as them. You know? So if you're using yourself, or even if you're in the pursuit of using Kratom, then you have absolutely zero right to jump on and start talking to a bunch of people that you don't know about being selfish. Okay? And if you haven't used and you have never struggled with drug addiction yourself, then how the fuck did you run across my Kratom video? It's a fair question. Anyway, I support you guys. I love you guys. Everyone has their own story. And despite, you know, even if you are addicted to Kratom or to something else, despite that, that is not who you are. Okay? It's something that you do. And everyone's relationship with whatever their substance of choice is different than the next person. Okay? And if it is causing you the amount of negative consequences in your life that the negative far surpasses and far outweighs the positives, then you probably need to relook at that. And you probably need to tweak that relationship in a way to where the positives are way outweighing the negatives, right? And if you're not willing to do that, and you're not able to do that, then you probably should just quit altogether. I'm being completely honest about that. So, here's the thing, you know, drug addiction is a relative term, okay? And anyone who's going to jump on my comments and say something like, easy solution, don't be a selfish drug addict. Being a drug addict is a choice. You better, when you point the finger at us, pay attention to these three that are pointing back at you. Because if you're going to make a comment like that, you better not have any dirt in your life. All right? You better not be addicted to anything, whether that's a substance, whether that's social media, whether that's pornography, anything that is taking time and energy away from your loved ones and your life. Don't judge others. You know, because I'm pretty sure, I don't know you, guy, but I'm pretty sure you're not perfect either. So anyway, rant over. Like the video. If you want to join a forum and a community where we support one another, you know, nobody's saying, hey, stay addicted. It don't matter what other people say. You take whatever you want to take, however you want to take it. Nobody's saying that. You got to get your fucking life straight, man. You know, and if you're not able to use something and it be a benefit to you, and the benefits far outweigh any negative consequences, then you need to stop taking it altogether. It's that simple. But I'm not convinced that I'm there, you know, and I would rather, you know, take 9-10 grams of kratom per day and still eat healthy, still exercise, still be a hard worker, still spend time with my family, still take care of everything on the home front, and be a healthy, in general, healthy body and mind person with kratom, then I would rather go to the doctor and get a prescription for something like Wellbutrin that's also gonna kill my sex drive, and it's also gonna, you know, cause all these negative side effects. I know what works for me way better than any doctor knows what worked for me. And that is from a lifelong search, a lifelong soul searching is what that's from. All right, so as long as I'm good with it, as long as God is good with it, I don't really care what you say, my dude. Well, I take that back. I do care. That's why I deleted it. That's why I blocked him from making any more comments. But that's just as much because I don't want any of myself or any of you to have to be subjected to that sort of abuse, man. It's not necessary. There's a way to give your opinion. There's a way without being a jackass. You're right. Being a drug addict, especially to a certain level, eventually, ultimately, becomes a choice. But respecting others and being an asshole is also a choice. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.